If you don't like love stories, you might want to leave. Now, seriously, this isn't just a love story. This is the love story. It's more romantic than Romeo and Juliet. It's more passionate than Anthony and Cleopatra. It's bigger than Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I should know. This love story is mine. We all realize that life is too short. And I know we all have that special someone that makes our day every day. What we fail to realize is that we don't always take the opportunity to tell these people how we really feel. As we learn throughout the story, sometimes that can have huge repercussions. 27 Dolls by Leland Faulkner. I met her in one of my classes. Well, I shouldn't say that I met her. You would actually have to converse first in order to officially say you met someone. I saw her, to be exact, on the first day of my English literature class. I didn't know what I'd say to her if we ever actually did meet, but I wanted to be prepared. I overheard my sister talking on her cell phone to one of her best friends from back home. She was telling this friend about an article she'd read in one of the many teen magazines of hers. After eavesdropping on the one-sided conversation, I gathered that the article suggested giving a gift to someone that you might be too shy to approach. Well, I should add here that I'm shy, painfully shy. I've even had teachers call my parents to ask them if I'm a mute. My sister was telling her friend maybe she should give her unrequited love a package of baseball cards or an unopened pack of chewing gum. After much deliberation, I started to warm up to the idea of giving a gift as an icebreaker. Now the hard part. What could I offer as a small token of my affection? What do girls even like? Flowers, chocolates. Finally, it hit me. Dolls. What girl doesn't like dolls? I ran to the local dollar store, and I was amazed at the assortment of dolls from which to choose. 2. The choice was between a somewhat plush-looking cuddle doll called Cuddle Doll and a plastic rip-off Barbie called Bridget. Since cuddling was the optimum goal for Project Boy Buys Doll, Boy Gets Girl, end of story, I decided to purchase the doll. I securely placed it in my backpack, just in case. So, one morning, she saw me walking home from school. It ends up, we live in the same neighborhood. Well, I love listening to the sound of Piper's voice. That's her name. And apparently she does too. She talks about everything. Elections, favorite foods, how she's been a vegetarian for the past 2.5 years. When we get to her house, she ends with an observation. You don't talk much, do you? I just reached into my backpack, grabbed hold of the doll, and handed it to her. She grabbed the doll, looked at it for a second, hugged me, and ran back inside. I just stood there for a few seconds, savoring the moment. And I quickly ran to the dollar store and bought another doll. Project Boy Buys Doll, Boy Gets Girl, end of story was a huge success. Piper and I became inseparable. We walked to school together, we walked home together, we did our homework together. It was wonderful. And not a week passed that I gave Piper another doll. Finally, the semester ends, and we're enjoying a well-deserved winter break. During Christmas Eve, Piper and I exchanged gifts. She gave me a handmade ornament, a big red bulb. Using glitter paint, she painted a small cuddle doll on the side and said, "You're a doll." In response, I gave her a doll yet another cuddle doll, of course. But I splurged this time and bought it a cuddle doll holiday festive party dress. She grabbed it, said she loved me, and that was it. After Christmas, Piper asked me if I had any New Year's resolutions. Well, I told her a resolution is like a promise, and I don't like making promises that can too easily be broken. Piper wasn't buying any of this. She told me, I'd like to at least see you try and make one. Try one for once. She said she wanted me to resolve to be more open about my feelings and thoughts towards her. I responded, I'm shy. I thought that's what you liked best about me. She smiled, said she loved me again, and that was it. But throughout the evening, Piper was unusually quiet. One morning, I was waiting for Piper to walk by my house so we could walk to school together. However, she never shows up. I was thinking, okay, it is icy and there's snow all over, so maybe her mom drove her to school. I'll see her in fourth period. Piper didn't come to school that day. She must be sick, I thought. Well, I'll just take her a can of soup after school and bring her weekly doll. After school, I visited Piper, and I knocked on the door and she answered. She asked me a question. She said, do you have anything to tell me? I said, I didn't know what to say, so I just stood there in silence, saying nothing. Well, Piper says she never wants to see me again, and I didn't know why. Before I left, though, Piper said this, how many times have I told you I loved you? And I replied, after a pause, too many times to count. She said, I never want to see you again. But I couldn't just leave it at that. So I reached in my bag, grabbed her weekly cuddle doll, and handed it to her. This doll is exactly how I feel about her. It represents everything that we are together. So I handed her the doll. She grabs it, flings the door open, rushes down the steps to the sidewalk. She says, I don't understand why you don't feel the same way. I can't fathom it. I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to calm her down. She isn't listening. She walks in between two parked cars and says, why don't you love me? This is what I think of your stupid doll. Grabs it, goes to throw it, and she slips on ice. The sound of her head hitting the sidewalk reminds me of a professional baseball game when a baseball bat hits the ball, speeding its way over home plate. I immediately called 911. The ambulance was there within minutes. Before the ambulance leaves, they hand me the doll that Piper had. I grab it. This represents everything that she is to me. This is everything I feel towards her. I look back up and I see the ambulance speeding down the road, taking a left. And I was torn. Finally, I actually studied the doll. I looked at it, and I guess one of my fingers accidentally brushed against its stomach. The doll says, I love you. The doll says, I love you. The doll says, I love you. When Piper hit her head, there was some internal bleeding. She's in a coma now. She's been in a coma for 6 days. I visit there every day. And I'll wait till she wakes up. And when she finally does wake up, I'll tell her the words that she so longs to hear.
Oh my God.